Welcome to my guitar tuning stability tips and tricks. Today I'm going to discuss keeping your guitar in tune while you play. Now this is an issue that a lot of people have. You're not going to get it so much if you've got a floating bridge and a locking nut and locking bridges and all that other stuff, but for people who like playing guitars with regular nuts and fixed bridges or Strat style bridges that they don't have raised up where they're still against the body, you may find some of this quite useful. You may even find it useful if you like hitting the whammy bar on your Strat, because it can help. Okay, the first tip is change your strings reasonably regularly. I would suggest every 6 weeks or so. If you're playing more often, change them more often than that. If you're playing less frequently, you could probably afford to do them a little less frequently. But what I've found is, and it's a good idea to give them a clean once in a while too, after you play them, just give them a quick wipe down with the cloth, just to get, the grease and the salts that come out of your skin off the strings, because it can be quite corrosive. Okay, so aside from that, another small issue you can have is as the strings age and they do get a little bit of corrosion, this area where the string goes through on the nut doesn't get cleaned, and what happens is you get corrosion build up in here, and the corrosion actually creates more friction or increases the friction of the string running through the nut, and then you run into tuning problems through that where you can't seem to keep the thing in tune. And you can also get that just with new strings, with particular guitars. What can happen is the tension's higher on this side than what it is on this side. When you're tuning up, and what happens is you bend the string or you strum quite, firmly, and the extra tension that's here slips through, and you end up with a string that's gone sharp on you. Okay, that can be relieved by using some sort of lubricant that you could buy at a music shop or guitar shop, or you could use graphite powder, or you could use the old fabled lead pencil, which is graphite, and you just give it a bit of a rub in there. The wound strings are quite easy to do because the windings tend to be a little bit abrasive, and it helps quite a bit. The other strings can be quite hard to do, the single string, single steel, plain steel. Give it a little rub at the end and you're done, and that can stay in there for probably the life of the strings. Probably do it every time you change the strings, and it'll keep you out of trouble. The graphite's a good lubricant, so it helps a lot. The other thing is, when you restring your guitar, it's a good idea to put one winding above first, above where the string comes out, and subsequent windings below. That's a bad example because that one's only got them below. I'll show you one that's got them above and below. Okay, as you can see on this one winding above and one winding below, and what it does is it just helps to pinch the string into position and keep it in tune. So while I'm here, I'll just give this one a hit as well. This was actually my first guitar. rough as it is. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, on this guitar we've got one of these string trees. These can be another issue. We'll bring that to center screen. String trees, they can be a bit of a problem. You get a similar thing to what happens here, particularly the string trees that are really low to the headstock of the guitar, where you've got a bigger change in direction. And all the string tree's there for is to stop the string from not laying in the nut correctly. Because if it sits up slightly, you'll get a buzzy sound that is very similar to when your action is too low or you've got a high fret, and it has a strange buzz. And that's the only reason why you need a string tree on a guitar. The Gibson style necks are laid back so that they don't need string trees, and the Fender style aren't, so they need string trees. That said, the Gibson style can have a little bit of extra trouble sometimes with this nut binding issue being a problem with the tuning. So it's, you know, either way you can run into problems. Okay, so with the string tree, I'd suggest try the instrument without the strings underneath the string tree. Play it, see if you have this buzzing issue. If you have the buzzing issue on one string, just put that string back under. Actually, it's probably more likely going to be that one, because it's at a lower angle to the nut, or closer to 90 degrees to the nut. So, but yeah, try it without. If you can't do without it, I'd suggest finding a string tree that's not so low and just does the job of retaining that string down enough that it doesn't buzz. Because anything you can do to improve the stability of your guitar's tuning, the better off you are, So if you can get away without using it at all, by all means, don't use it. And actually on my next guitar, I don't think I'm using it, so even though it's there. But I'll bring the next one up and we'll talk about that. Okay, well, as you can see, this one's a Fender, and at this point I'm using one string under the string tree and one string over. Obviously I've had some buzzing issues with the E1, so it's gone under the string tree. But the B string must be fine, so I haven't been doing that. This is another thing you can do. This is not really a cheap tip. It's a little more expensive than the others, but you can switch to locking tuners. Basically you pull the string through, you wind the lock up on the back and it pinches the string into the post, and you don't have to worry about anything after that. You just tune it up. You just pull the string taut, wind it up, tune it up. There is a bit of a scenario that you're supposed to go through, but you don't really have to stick to that. That's about it, really. So I'll do this one while I'm here. Yeah, so that's about it really. There's a few tips and tricks. Most of it revolves around, this area, around the headstock. So, to recap, change your strings every 6 weeks or so. Clean your strings after you play. When you restring, you put one string wind over where the string exits the post, and the rest under. And try not to let them cross over. Don't avoid that at all costs, so that you don't have strings crisscrossing over, like the windings crisscrossing over one another. That's bad for tuning stability. String tree. Avoid using it if you can. They're more of a band-aid, in my opinion, than an accessory. Okay, so if you can avoid using it, as in you just have the string go over the top of it, try it. Because when you bend those strings, the tension increases across the whole string. If it's got to go under the string tree and through the nut, that's two chances that something can go wrong. If you can eliminate it to just the nut, well, that's one chance of something going wrong. One point of friction as opposed to 2 points of friction. Look at maybe getting some locking tuners, unless you're into the vintage stuff. So that's about it. Have fun playing, and hopefully I've helped you cure some problems you're having with your guitar. All the best. See you later.